Alright, welcome back to my series on crocheting, beginning crocheting. So first and foremost, I'm going to show you my tools very quickly. I try to put sewing only on my scissors so that my kids will not use them. I have pairs for paper and tape and whatnot, but these are for sewing only, so I make sure to label those. I'm going to use a crochet needle. And I'm going to use a very small 3.5 millimeter hook, but for the majority of the project, I'm going to use a basic H or 8 5 millimeter hook. So if you go find a hook, an H or an 8, the measurement will be 5 millimeter. And then I just found some yarn that I had a little bit left, and I wanted to just use it to. So you use whatever yarn you have on hand. You can use a 3 or a 4 weight. I think this is a 4 weight. Now before I begin and show you how to make a basic granny square and how to connect them, I wanted to quickly show you any yarn you use will tell you basically what the size is of the yarn itself, 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever, like the thickness of it. Tell you basically what kind of hooks to use or what kind of needles to use if you're doing knitting instead of crocheting. Crocheting is with the hook, knitting is with 2 needles. But the really cool thing about some of these is if you go open them up, they will have different kinds of patterns inside. So it'll give you the measurements for a scarf, how wide it's going to be and how long it's going to be, how many skeins of yarn you'll need. It'll tell you, like this one says 2, what gauge you're going to use, like how big the gauge is going to be, 12 stitches, 6 rows. The scarf instructions, it'll tell you how many to chain in each of the rows, and if you see it says like 2 chain, skip 2, double crochet in the next. So once you start learning how to read a pattern, they have all kinds of patterns and little pictures inside here. So, all right. So that's what's really cool about the inside of the cover of most skeins of yarn. Now this one does not, you can see on the inside, it does not have anything on the inside, but it does tell you, you can find a pattern online if you want, but how many skeins do you need to make a blanket? How many skeins do you need to make a sweater? How many for a hat? How many for a scarf? So each one of these is a size 4. Again, it tells you the different size hooks to use with the yarn. So, and that's on the big twist. That's the one you can find. So just some cool little tidbits there. And if you find a pattern online, this is about how much you can do. So if you want to price something out, someone asks you to make a scarf or a hat or a sweater. First off, you have to figure out how many skeins you need. How much is the skein? How many hours did it take to make you? So when people are like, oh, I don't want to pay $100 for a scarf, well, then they can go buy one cheaply at a store somewhere because they are not cheap to make, I tell you what. All right, so I'm going to try to keep this camera straight, but this is a basic granny square. It's one of the first things I learned to make. I learned to make several. There's so many different styles of granny squares, but this is the one I'm going to show you how to make today, and I used this yarn. And I did this as well so that I could show you how to connect in 2 different ways. So I made these 2 earlier, and these are going to be pot holders, and I'm going to show you guys how to hide the tails, how to hide your tails, and how to connect to front to back, back to back. How to connect to just like this so that you could have it as a pot holder or as something to set a hot plate or a hot dish or pan on, and you can make it as big or as little as you want. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. This one here, I was just going to show you how to connect to make either a scarf or a blanket or something out of granny squares. So and this one has 1, 2, 3 rows. This one has 4 rows. You can keep going and make it as big as you want and make a full blanket out of just the granny square pattern. Or you can make it a bunch of squares and connect them. So today I'm going to show you how to make a granny square this size, just the 3 rows, and how to connect them side by side. So like if it was going to be like this, side to side, to make either a really long scarf, or to put 2 together and make a long scarf, or to put a bunch together to make a blanket of nothing but small granny squares. And you can use any yarn you have available to you, and I will show you later why I left this so long. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to put the things I'm going to use later on the side, and I'm going to again take my yarn out of the center. And the first thing you want to do is you want to make a slip stitch. So as you get better and have more practice, you can make a loop on your fingers and go through and pull the yarn through to make a slip stitch. And that's the first thing you start with typically. Or like I showed in my first video on learning to crochet, you can make a loop and then put your loop, like a loop like this with the tail on top, and then put your loop over the yarn and put your hook through the yarn and pull it and make a slip stitch. So that's how you make a slip stitch. Very simple. There are things called a magic ring. I'll show you very quickly. I'm going to give an actual video on how the difference between a magic ring and a slip stitch to make a center. See here, there's the center hole right here in the granny square. And most projects, hats, granny squares, blankets, if you're starting from the center, you're gonna have a center ring. Now you can do a magic ring where it's you put it over your fingers and then you start crocheting. You pull through and you can start making your chains. And then you're gonna use this ring as your circle. Now that takes a lot of practice, and so the most simple way to do it, the most simple way is just to make some chains. So you make a slip stitch and make 3 or 4 chains. I personally, for beginners, would say do 4. 1, 2, and that's yarn over and just pull through. 3, yarn over and pull through, that's 4. So you don't count your first slip stitch, you just count your chains. 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. Then I'm going to go through anywhere on that first chain so I can have a circle. I'm going to yarn over, pull through both. That's going to make a little tiny ring for me. See, and you have a little tail. It's going to make a little tiny ring for me. So you want to keep a hold of that ring while we're doing the first row. So your ring, the center ring, is not going to be considered your first row. It's just your ring where you're going to do your first row stitches into. Now you can learn to hide. If you put this along the edge, you can hide your tail, or you can leave your tail out, and then I'll show you at the end of the video how to hide that tail. So for the sake of just beginning crochet, I'm just going to leave the tail out, and I'm going to keep a hold of this ring, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through and make a chain of 2, yarn over and pull through. I'm going to count this first chain up from my ring as my first double crochet. Then I'm going to yarn over, hold on to my circle, go through my circle, yarn over, pull through, and I have 3 on my stitch. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So I have 2, what I would consider my first 2 double crochets. Of course, the first one is a chain. Second one's an actual double crochet. Let's do one more to make 3. Yarn over, through your hole, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So for this particular granny square, and there's books and books and books about different styles of granny squares, this is a basic, very simple granny square. So for this, I'm going to leave 3 and I'm going to chain 2. I want to make sure that I keep a hold of this and I keep an eye on that circle because that's what we're going to be working through for this entire first row. So this is going to be considered my side 1 of my row 1. This is going to be my first corner and you will see as I go. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to do 3 more double crochets in the ring. So yarn over, through the circle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And take your time and take a good look at it and keep pulling your yarn out of your crochet skein so that you'll have it loose. I mean, you don't want a whole bunch, but enough to where it doesn't get like it's pulling against you. All right, so I said I was gonna do 3. So if you see here, that chain 2 is now going to be a corner. So I'm going to I'm going to do 2 more double crochets. So yarn over, go back through that center ring, yarn over and pull through the ring, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. If you don't know how to do a double crochet, go back to my very first video, this is my second, and practice doing single crochets and double crochets and half double crochets and triple crochets because those are the stitches you're going to use most often. So yarn over, through the ring, yarn over and pull through the ring, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my second side of my granny square. And now I'm going to make my second corner. 1, 2. So I chained 2 and I just kind of rotate a little bit and I'm going to do 3 more double crochets back through the ring. So yarn over, through the ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Oh, and see, out of habit, I left my tail around my circle. Do not worry. I left it out on a couple other ones, so I'll show you how to hide the tail because I left it out on the other one. But as I've been going, I've just gotten so used to hiding my tails along whatever row I'm on or along my ring. So again, I have 3 on my first side of my first row, and then I have chain 2, 3 on my second side and chain 2 for a corner. I'm going to finish with 2 more double crochets on this side. 1, that's 2, yarn over, through the ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and don't worry if you mess up because I've done it to where I've actually accidentally gone through a corner or gone in between 2 double crochets. Just pull it all out and start over. It is not a big deal. Take your time, don't get frustrated. Everyone messes up in the beginning. So 1, 2, 3, chain 2. 1, 2, 3 double crochets and a chain 2. 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and so next we're going to do another chain 2. 1, 2, and that's going to be our third corner. So back through the ring, I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. Yarn over, through the ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, through the ring, yarn over, pull through the ring, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Last one, yarn over, through the ring, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more. So that's another 3. Now I need to make my last corner, so I'm going to chain 1, chain 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch through this the top 2 up here of my first chain, which was, I counted as my first double crochet. So let me move this tail out of the way, and you put your hook through the top 2. Do you see that? It's a top 2 of this first. I'm going to pull 1 through and then pull it all the way through. I don't want to single crochet, I just want to slip stitch. So this is your first row. You should have 3, 6, 9, 12 double crochets, and then your 2, 4, 6, 8 chain stitches to make your 4 corners. Now every row we have to increase. So we're going to start row 2 by doing a chain 2 straight up. I'm going to count my chain 2 as my first double crochet. So then I'm going to do one in the top of each of them, and I'm going to add 2 on each side in the corner. Excuse me. So I'm going to yarn over, go through the top 2 of my next, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's what I'm going to consider my second double crochet. I'm going to yarn over, go through the top of my next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now I have 3 above my original first row 3. So for my second row, I want to increase. So in the corner, I'm going to yarn over, go through the corner, yarn over, pull through the corner, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's my first one in the corner. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to do a second one, yarn through the corner, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to add 2 more over here when I get all the way around, so it'll be 7 on each side of my row 2. I also want to make sure I have corners. So I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and slightly rotate. In that same corner, I'm going to do my first addition to this side. So I'm going to yarn over, go through the corner, pull, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's my first double crochet of my second side on row 2. I'm going to yarn over, go through the corner, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more. So that's my first 2 additions to make the side increase in stitches. Then I'm going to do 1 double crochet on the top of these 3 on this second side. So yarn over, go through the top stitches, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Do the second one, yarn over, through the top stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over and go through the third one, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now on this side I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I said I wanted 7 on this side. I'm going to have 7 on each side, but I want 7 for this side while I'm working on this side. 1, yarn over, I'm going to go back through the corner and add 2 more double crochets. Pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I want a second one, yarn over, through the corner, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now for my second side of my second row, I should have an increase of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 total. I want to make my second corner, so I'm going to slightly rotate, pull some more yarn out, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through twice for my chain 2. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's going to be my second corner, and I'm going to put 2 more again in this corner. So each corner, no matter what row you're on, is going to have 4. So I'm going to start my third side on my second row by putting 2 in the corner. 1, 2, double crochets. And if you have to rewind or pause, feel free to do so. Now I want to make sure that I have 3 on the top initial 3 stitches from first row. So in row 2, side 3, I'm going to yarn over, go through the top stitch, make a double crochet. And I'm going to do another double crochet on top of the first row's double crochet, and then a third. So those are directly on top. And some people prefer to go in between each of them. I prefer to go into the stitch on top to make sure they're lined up. So you can see it's through that top stitch. So now I have 5. I want to do 2 more in this corner to make my third corner. And then my chain 2. And you just repeat this process on the next row as well. So I'm going to do the very last side, my fourth side of my second row, because remember, this is the first row, this is the second row, but it's going to have 4 sides, hence granny square. Yarn over, through the corner, pull through, yarn over, through the corner, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So that's my 2 on this side. Then again, my 3 on the top of the original row, my first row stitches. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. I have a hard time because I don't hold it like this normally. This is the way most people will hold their yarn and everything, with their finger up, but I don't usually hold it that way. I'm going to try to do it more often for the videos. Yarn over, through the top, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. For me, I tend to I loop it over. I take yarn over seriously like that and do 2 more in the corner like we did on each of the other corners. Like I said, a lot of people will find their own way. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that side. So my first side in row 2, remember we only did 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but because we started where we slip stitched on top of the very first chain, which we considered our first double crochet. So I still need to put 2 more in the corner. So I'm going to make my fourth corner with 2 chains, chain 2. Then on the corner here, I'm going to do 2 more double crochets. Then I'm going to make sure to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to slip stitch through the top stitch of my first considered double crochet, so my chain. So I put my hook through the top 2 stitches. See, it's through the stitch. Chain or yarn over, pull through, and pull through. That's a slip stitch. So now I have 2 rows, and this one has 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do a 3rd row here, and then I'm going to very quickly show you how to connect. So our third row, we're going to increase by 2 on each corner. Since we have 7, it's going to end up with 11 and then your chain for your corner. So I'm going to chain 2 for my first one, yarn over, and I want 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to skip that first one. Go through here, double crochet. Remember, I'm double crocheting all the way across in every single top stitch of the row before. So row 3, you want 11. So you go into the top of every single one of your 7 stitches from the row before. So row 3, the first side, so far I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to do 2 in the corner, 6, 7, and when we end, we're going to end with 1, 2, 3, 4, because we have to do 2 in the corner and the 2 above these 2 stitches. So we will end up with 11 on this side. So slightly turn, and we're going to chain 2. We're going to do our second side of our third row. First corner, second side. So 2 chains in the corner, 2 double crochets in the corner. No, I was right, 2 chains and then 2 double crochets. So do you see? I've got the 2 chains and then my 2 double crochets. So I have 4 all together in the corner with 2 chains. So again, every corner needs 2 chains and 4 double crochets. Then I'm going to do one on the top of each of these, 2 in the corner and a chain. Okay, so now we have side 1 of row 3, side 2, which was 11. Remember, you did your 2 chains in each corner. 11, chain 2, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, chain 2, slightly rotate. We're going to put 2 more in the corner for this top one. Remember, we have 4 additions to increase in each corner, so we should have 4 double crochets and 2 chains in each corner to increase each row. So that's our 2, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to go into the top of these 2 double crochets from row 2 to finish off our stitch, finish off our side. Okay, and then you want to slip stitch through the top. So you go through, yarn over, pull through that one, that's your slip stitch. Now, I'm going to pull through that one again because I want to make sure that it's not going to come loose. All right, so I have 3 rows, just like with this one, I have 3 rows, and I want to show you how to connect them. So one thing you can do is just make a little loop and cut that loop and then pull out your thread. But if you're going to connect a bunch of them, what I'd like to do is to make sure I have enough thread, enough yarn to go one way in connecting, go the other way in connecting, and coming back. So I will, and a little room for my crochet needle. So I'm going to cut it there and put my yarn aside. So now you have this really long tail. All you have to do is pull it through that last slip stitch and you have this really long tail. Okay, so very quickly I'm going to show you there are 2 different things you can use to weave in tails. These crochet needles have a much larger hole in order to use for sewing in your tails. And then this one you can also use to sew in tails. So see how I have a little bit of a tail here? Since it won't really fit on the needle to pull through, I'm just going to go through some of my loose bottoms of double crochets in that first row, and I'm going to hook on that tail and then pull it through. Takes a couple of times sometimes, and then pull it through. And I'll do it until I'm happy with how much it's been hidden. And then I'm going to take my scissors. I'm just going to cut it off. See, this piece didn't go all the way through, so I can just cut it off. So that's one way that you can hide a tail. Another way you can hide a tail is by getting the crochet needle. I've got yarn on here because I've been using it like crazy. And you can put it through your yarn needle. And typically they're plastic. I mean, you might find some metal ones, but most likely these days they're plastic, so they can bend a little bit more. So you can put your tail through and then go through some of these bottoms and then just pull your tail through to hide it, and then you can just cut it off. Stretch it back out so it'll hide it some more. All right, now I'm going to show you how to connect. So if you have several of these, you want to make sure they're facing the same direction, right? So I'm going to zoom in a little. You want to make sure that they're facing the same direction. As you can see, the edge here is poking up. And if you turn it over, you can't really see the edge. So I like to connect edge to edge. So this one, I would use this tail to connect another one on top. I'm going to use this tail to connect these two sides. So I'm going to find the end of my yarn. And some people just cut off the tails and hide them, and then we'll go cut a really long piece of plain white yarn and use that to sew two pieces together. So I'm going to have my thread on my needle, and I'm going to put them backside to backside so that I can see that both the ends are lined up. So I'm going to put this one directly through. So let's see. One corner, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to find my sixth one. So here's one corner, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to put the straight through. And then I'm going to go back through the next one and through the one across. And then come through the very next one. And I go all the way to the end, back and forth. And remember, you don't want to go through both of your corner chains, just the first corner chain, because that second corner chain is going to be on the other side. And then I like to go back through to make sure that it doesn't come apart, especially if someone's going to throw it in the washing machine. So I'll come back through the other side. And then to close it off, you can go through your first stitch. As you're pulling it through, stick this through and make a knot. And then you can hide this tail the same way you hid the center tail. You could just go through some stitches in between. Until you're satisfied with how far it's hidden, so that you can barely see it on either side. And then you can cut. You stretch it out a little and it's going to hide in there. So that is how I connect 2 granny squares. So, and this video is going to be pretty long. I'm going to try to like shorten it a little bit. But you would do the same thing with these 2. You put your crochet knots, you want them the same sides, so you'd put them back to back. And you would just get your needle and you would thread your tail, and you would just go back and forth around the entire edge, and then you would come all the way back. All right, so this one I sewed the 2 together, you can see. Sewed the 2 together back and forth twice. So I went around once and back once. So there it is, and that could be a pot holder to grab something warm out of the toaster oven or out of the microwave. I would make sure that it's pure cotton if I'm going to use it for pulling something directly out of the oven. But then you could also use mixed yarn for putting pots on top of. But remember, the synthetics typically have plastic in them, so they can melt. But I would only use the mixed ones like this for either dish rags or for putting warm stuff on top of so you don't burn your counter. But if it's too hot, it could melt it if it's not pure cotton. So that's one way to use a granny square. And then of course you could connect them like this and keep connecting several rows and connect several columns for either a scarf or a sweater or a blanket. And we'll do some other videos on how to do that, but this was a double crochet granny square. I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next video.